back in the day when we first started the school, I remember there was a lot of moments where there's just a lot of firsts. That was 15 years ago, right? But now we're still having a lot of firsts. And so this is pretty exciting that you're able to be here. We're excited that you're able to listen in. Before I pray, just a couple of things. I think if we've all been doing Zoom before, we know that there is the mute button. And there's also the chat sections. So as things come up, feel free to ask questions. Something that we probably couldn't do in real time is ask questions. So please feel free to use the chat, and I'll pray and I'll introduce everybody and we'll go from there. So please pray with me. Heavenly Father, I thank you. I thank you for the gift of technology. I thank you for the hearts of your Yes. And as we figure out technology, let there be an extra special bit of grace in this open house, and let this time be a blessing to you and us as well. In your name we pray, amen. So we are going to do this pretty quick. I mean, it's not even a quick thing. It's normally an hour for an open house. And I think it's always about just how we keep it moving, sitting down. Certainly watching people talk can get a little bit tedious, but we are going to keep it moving. And so I want to introduce some people that we have, some very special people. Of course, you know Tracy Doobie, who's put this together.
Not Brandon Fry.
You are not Brandon. Yes, that is a new one. You see Kurt Westfeld here, and then we have, some of you know, well, we can go back through that. Kurt doesn't have, I don't have Kurt as having a speaking role. He is watching, of course, as one of the co-leaders of the school and development officer, and just many hats. Then we have Dr. Rader, Marianne Rader there. She's going to talk about some of the academic pieces and even what we're doing in this time. We have Coach Carla Knippa, who is our activities director, and so she's going to talk about all the different things that make us special in the world of activities, especially when we're at school. But yes, so we're going to go Dr. Rader, and then Coach Knippa, and then I see Diane Rep down there. I don't know if she, let's see, I skipped Diane, Mrs. Rep. So it's going to go Dr. Rader, Mrs. Rep, and then Coach Knippa. And so Mrs. Rep is our college coordinator and just outstanding individual and professional for your students when they come to Concordia High School, when they are preparing for college. And so she's going to talk a lot about that. Then we have Karen Sue Murdy. And Mrs. Murdy is the mother of Sam, who you see also on here. So she's going to talk about the parent perspective. And we have some of our very own students, and it's so good to see them in a setting that isn't the classroom for once. They have chosen to take this time at 4 o'clock on a Wednesday to talk about their experience at Concordia High School, and even perhaps their experience right now as a student at Concordia. So we have, of course, Sam already waved his hand, and we have Jordan Stoley. Jordan is a junior. She's involved in a lot of different activities, one of which is volleyball. I know that's big. That's a big one. We need volleyball players. Sam is a senior, by the way, and Maddie is also a senior. So Maddie is the daughter of Mrs. Rep. And so we have some outstanding people, and I'm going to stop talking right now, and I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Rader. Again, if you have questions as they come up, go ahead and write them in the chat box, and we will address them as we can. Probably not in real time, but at the end, we'll take the time to address them. Again, thank you for this opportunity and your grace. This is in a sense, a trial run for us. But we are going to go ahead and be as excellent as we can. So Dr. Rader, you are on.
All right. So I want to talk to you about our academics and talk first about what our normal academics look like, because hopefully we won't be in COVID-19 forever, and we can go back on campus soon and have our normal, and then talk a little bit too about what it looks like in this environment. So we are a college prep school. By definition, we are a college prep school. And so what that means is we prepare all of our students to have every opportunity open to them. Some of our students choose not to go to a four-year university, and if that's not the best fit for them, then that's great. And we do everything in our power to support that. Ms. Rep will talk more about the after Concordia and what that process looks like. But that kind of overarching thing of being college prep means our students need to be academically prepared for anything that they might face. And so as 9th and 10th graders, all of our students take pre-AP courses. We do not offer regular courses for the cores because they need to be in pre-AP, we feel, in order to be best prepared for the future. Once they get to 11th grade, our courses split, and then they have the choice of taking on-level courses or taking courses that are a step up. So that may be AP, that may be dual credit for some of the courses, and that may be honors courses. It's whatever we feel best suits that group of students and staff that we have at the time. So this year we have several AP courses, and then we also have dual credit courses that work with Colorado Christian University, with UT Tyler, and with ACC. So a variety that students are able to choose from, really starting their junior year in a significant way. Our curriculum, a lot of people ask, where does our curriculum come from? Well, our teachers are able to design our curriculum with oversight, of course. And our curriculum is designed, it exceeds our TEKS and everything. And then we are accredited by the National Lutheran School Accreditation. And so they come on campus every couple years, they look at everything that we have, they go through our curriculum, and they approve everything. So there's no concern about, well, who's writing this? It is written clearly from a God-pleasing perspective. We have wonderful Christian teachers, and it is also academically rigorous. So we're able to meet all of those needs of our students with the way the curriculum has been written. Now, while we've been in COVID, things are a little bit different, because usually on campus we have an A-B block schedule. We have an A-day with classes 1 through 4, and then a camp time. And then the next day is a B-day with classes 5 through 8, and then a camp time. And we'll talk a little bit more about camp and what that means. And so that goes A-B, 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 week after week. Now, with us being remote, we started that and we found it was too much. It was too much for students, and it was too much for families working with them. And so on Monday, we have an A-day. On Tuesday, we have a B-day. And then on Wednesdays, we have student success days. So what that means, like today, I was doing Zooms, meeting with students one-on-one, working through chemistry problems, for example, or a student who was stuck on a biology homework that he was trying to get caught up on, working with that. So it gives more opportunity for one-on-one with students and teachers. And it also gives an extra day for students to take a deep breath and get caught up before tomorrow is an A-day and Friday is a B-day. So each week they have 2 A-days and 2 B-days. So we did lose, in a sense, 1 day, but I think the students are gaining so much more in support from their teachers. And I hope that you get the message that the relationships are the biggest, one of the biggest things at Concordia. And so having that support and having a day to be very intentional about that, I think has been really beneficial for our students in this. So that's a significant change that we've made. Our teachers are still teaching. I know a lot of schools stop teaching after spring break. We did not, because honestly, you're looking at a fourth of the year that still remained. And some of your children, I know are classmates of one of my children, so I know some of you, and some of you I don't. That learning is really important for them to be prepared for next year, to be prepared for the next grade. And so our teachers were adamant that they wanted to go on and keep teaching because it's really valuable to our students. So we chose to keep moving forward with that. That platform varies from class to class. So some classes have Zoom discussions, some classes have pre-recorded videos, some classes are doing project-based learning. There's a lot of variety that you see. And there have been hiccups along the way with different platforms and testing software. And for instance, students would submit stuff on Google Classroom and then it would show up that it didn't get submitted. You know, I know there were similar challenges at some of our feeder schools, and we're learning to work through that. Again, you see the relationships that we are all working in it together. And so the students, I think, have been very comfortable coming to their teachers and saying, I'm so frustrated with this, you know, technology piece. Or I had a student last week who said, hey, can we do additional Zooms, you know, beyond what we're doing? And I'm like, sure, we can do that. And so in a small setting like this, we're able to make those changes and we're able to work together with the students. A lot of the things that are normal relationship pieces of Concordia, we've been able to continue, which is great. We have family groups, which again, I'm sure you'll hear more about, small groups, very, very special small groups that still meet. So my family group that normally meets on Friday mornings on campus now meets Friday at lunch. And so it's really great for students to have that and be able to check in with each other. Our girls' Bible study that normally meets before school or during lunch, various times throughout the week, is still meeting a couple times a week. And so again, there's the hard written curriculum, and then there's also the soft curriculum behind that that's this huge encompassing piece. And we've really worked to be able to keep that. So that's a little bit about the learning and where we're at right now. Generally speaking, we do everything with a focus of having our school be academically excellent and distinctively Christian. And so the academic excellent means our students have to be well prepared for that next step. We don't do STAR testing, but we do some of those college prep testing. From the time they're in 9th grade, they start taking tests, okay, to prepare for that. And again, this is more about the college piece of that. We know our students really, really well, okay? So therefore, you see huge advantages when they go to apply. Those relationships are such an important piece of what we are and who we are. We get to know our students well in a lot of different ways. It's not just the classroom. It's also teams and coaching. It's the Science Olympiad team. It's academic TAPS. It's speech and debate. We have all of these things where our teachers and our coaches are working alongside of our students. It's important that we educate more than just academics. And don't get me wrong, academics are a huge piece, but we are taking the time to really care about the students and to look at that whole piece of things. I will say one final piece, I think, as a parent, my husband and I chose to put our children in Christian schools. We both went to public schools. I had a wonderful education, but not a great experience. He did not have a good education or a good experience. One of the things for me that has been vital that I ask you to think about is what adults you put in front of your children. Because, and you've probably realized this with them being home, they're working on school a lot, and there's a lot of hours during the day. The adults that we've chosen to put in front of our own children have more waking hours with them than we do. And so choose wisely who you put in their life. And I know that sounds maybe a little ominous, but think back of when you were in high school and who were the mentors in your life and think of who you would want that to be for your kids. So I will stop with that.
Thank you, Dr. Rader. Well said. Like I said, we're gonna move on. There's so many things that Dr. Rader just said that I'd like to add on to, but I think we need to hear from everyone else first. And so, Mrs. Rep, you are up, and I think that's a good follow-up to everything that Dr. Rader just said. Go ahead.
My goodness, Mary Ann was so thorough. I'll just tag on a few things, and please know that if you have any questions, no matter what your decision for your child, I have spent a lot of time in research in this area, and I am happy to share because the whole college process can be definitely overwhelming. And so having an ear to rely on, someone that can share what they've learned is very beneficial, and I want you to know I'm available for that if you need me. As we look at the college process, there are a lot of deadlines, a lot of specific guidelines for the vast majority of schools that our students apply to. So knowing some of those things and on my part, kind of being a professional nag, reminding you when to take care of things, I'm happy to do that, and that relieves you of having to keep track of some of those things. So I love getting to encourage you and my students in that way. Just to let you know, I'm so proud of this senior class. We spend a lot of time with our students growing them in a holistic way, the way that they are evaluated at the college level, and that bears out in scholarship dollars. For the 25 seniors we have this year, we're right at about $4 million. There's some I have not sent in yet, so I know we've just about crested that, which I think is amazing. They are awesome students, and they should be rewarded for all the effort that they've put in. So I'm really always very excited to help them with that. As Dr. Rader said, we do not do state testing. Cool thing with that is teachers are not bound by specific things that we teach. We have more time to invest in the curriculum that the things that we know they're going to need in college. But we do prepare them well for the testing that they will need. Albeit this coming year of juniors, just for this 1 year, it's going to look a little bit different. But other than that, the ACT and SAT testing is an important component of their college acceptance. So not only do we offer practice tests for all of the years that they are at our high school, I also offer semester Saturday practice tests, which have been very beneficial for my students. So that is a nice offering. In addition to that, we've partnered with Princeton Review, and they have supplied us with so many awesome resources, both online and in my office, books and things that our students can take advantage of. I bring in college reps to speak with our students during camp time, and that face-to-face with the college reps, the very people who look at their applications, has been very beneficial for our students. Because they get to know our students like I do, and then they want to reward them with a lot of scholarship money. So that is an important piece of what I do. And a really cool thing for me is I'm not just college coordinator, I'm also an educator. So I teach the students that I get to represent when I write their recommendation letters from the guidance counselor, I'm the college coordinator. So I know them really well. I come up with great stories to share. And so it's not just a pat letter that gets sent out. It's from a resource that really knows your child well. And many of the college admissions people have said that those letters spoke to them greatly and helped them in that decision-making process. So I get to put my English teacher skills to good use and get to write amazing stories about your child. Now, some of the things that I'm just glancing at my notes. Some of the things that I get to do is to have a junior college night, but that junior college night informs the students and the parents everything they're going to need to know for the next year, and that whole college application process. I get all the scholarships together that come across my desk, and I feed them to the students to apply to. So as long as they are doing that as they have time, that can save you a lot of time having to look up those resources on your own. So that just gives you a nutshell of the things that I do. I am very busy getting everything sent out right now to finalize things for my seniors, and about to get that ball rolling for my juniors. But I also incorporate a lot of the things that my freshmen and sophomores will need to know during that time too, to get them thinking about what's ahead. And I love that Dr. Rader said we don't just look at a four-year college, because heaven knows that's not for everybody. One of my sweet seniors is heading off to Texas State Technical College. He'll be out of school within a year, earning probably more money than I do. And so he's got a great future ahead with certification without putting more time into a school setting that just doesn't fit who he is. So I'm all about great fit. And that's why it's really important that I get to know your student so I can represent them well and guide them along this journey. So thank you so much for being with us today, for considering our school. I will tell you, through this whole COVID-19, this staff has stepped up in even more amazing ways than I already thought they would. So thank you for giving us a thought. And if I can help additionally, please let me know. I'm always available. Blessings.
Mrs. Rep, she's awesome. Some of you are in 6th grade, 7th grade, and you're thinking, wow, I'm just trying to figure out high school. I haven't even got to high school yet. I need to finish out my middle school years. And you're already talking to me about college. I can tell you that we don't just think about college, but Mrs. Rep guides you, and she helps you excel towards your destination in college. And so when that time comes, when you're in high school and you're thinking about the next steps, it is a tremendous blessing. And I think Mrs. Rep undersells herself, just the value that she brings to our school and the college degree of your choice, or wherever you're going to go after high school. She's going to help with all of that. So again, fantastic job. Well spoken, Mrs. Rep. We are going to go into now Coach Knippa, Mrs. Knippa, and athletics and activities and all the different things that you can do at Concordia. And I'm sure our students are going to talk about all the things that they've done as well.
Thank you, Mr. Deering. And thank you all for being here this afternoon on such a beautiful day. Beautiful day. I want to start out on a personal note. I retired from a huge public school, over 2,000 students in 2014, and I got to Concordia as fast as I could and just felt like I was starting over. I am so blessed to be the athletic and activity director. And I was a public school student myself. I had a great experience. And I just think that times have changed. Every year it got a little bit different and more challenging as a teacher. And I just feel like that you can, count on your student getting an excellent education and being surrounded by people that love them and they're going to respect each other, and can't say enough about it. This is my 6th year at Concordia. Came over first as a coach and math teacher, and this is my 4th year now to be in the administration role. So feeling very blessed, and I know that you would love it here, just love it. So I get to talk about the fun stuff at Concordia High School. Just want to share a few things with you. we call, or I call, Concordia the land of opportunity, because your children, listen up, all you future Cardinals out there, you are going to get to do so many things that you never dreamed you could do. We have athletics, we have the musical, we have one-act play, we have Science Olympiad that Dr. Rader heads up, we have a garden club, we've got just tons of stuff, choir, music, and you can do all of that at once if you want. It is my job as the activities director to get an individual plan for each of you so that your schedules don't conflict. And our coaches and directors, they love sharing our students. They're awesome. We don't hire them if they're not going to buy into the fact that they may be sharing you with another coach, because we want you to build strong college applications. And Mrs. Rep knows that that is very important, to just fill in every line on that college application. If you're on one of our athletic teams, you may be on varsity for 4 years. You're going to get tons of playing time. Oh my goodness. You'll probably never sit the bench, or you won't very often. And we have a JV team for the teams that happen to have more than the number of students that we need, but most often you're on the varsity if you're at Concordia High School, and you can letter all 4 years. Get you a letter jacket that you can sport around in your freshman year even. So just keep in mind, we want you to come and try new things, and try things that you wouldn't have an opportunity to do in public schools. Our coaches, they are so well qualified. We interview them, we ask them about their walk with Jesus, they're going to pray with you, and they happen to be club coaches, former athletes of our school. We have a college coach, former college coach, coaching our track team now, and you're going to be in good hands, I promise you. They have a passion for the sport, and they do this after their real jobs. So they're here and will be excellent Christian role models for all our athletes. And just like the teachers, who do you want leading your children? The teachers are great role models, and so are our coaches. You can be assured of that. How many people have thought about even playing at the next level? Any of you out there? The NCAA says only 7% of high school seniors in this nation will go on to the next level. 2 years ago at Concordia, well, no, just last year, actually, our seniors, 17% of them signed letters of intent. Not 7% like the national average. 17% of our seniors signed national letter of intents to play soccer, swimming, softball, and cross country and track. So if you want to get to the next level, come to Concordia High School. Our coaches know college coaches. I know college coaches because I've been around forever. And we're going to get you some exposure, and we're going to get you to, fulfill that dream of yours, if that's what it is, to go play at Division I, II, or III school. Our cross-country teams and soccer teams and softball teams, they've been second in state recently, numerous times. And then we've had repeated state individual champions in cross-country, track, and swimming. So you can do it if you want to. I just think it's a great atmosphere too at Concordia, as far as the support you receive when you're involved in things. Our soccer team, when they were playing in the state final game last year in Round Rock, we were fortunate enough that it was local, and Mr. Daring bussed all the students over there that afternoon to cheer these men and women on, and it was such a fantastic atmosphere, and you just don't get that everywhere. So that's why I said I'm blessed to be at Concordia. And I also want to say one thing before I go on to some different activities. As far as athletic goes, Don't let the lack of facilities inhibit you from coming here. We hear that all the time. Folks, we rent some of the best facilities in this area for all our practices and our competitions. And, you know, it's just not a good argument, okay? Come on, don't let the facilities keep you from going. And our teams get bussed over to those locations right after school for their practices, and then the parents just pick you up there. So after the practices are over, if we go out of town, we get to ride in these luxurious, comfortable Roadrunner charter buses because they're one of our great business partners. And there's usually room enough for the athletes' parents to ride along too. So that is a real plus for going to Concordia. We're not going to take our unreliable old buses out on long road trips. We get a Roadrunner charter. So this is kind of a commercial for them, I guess. Okay, so there's a couple of other cool things about Concordia High School that I think makes us special. First, all freshmen and seniors get to go on an overnight retreat to Camp Lone Star in August before school starts. And this way you get to meet everybody, and the seniors, they give some orientation to the freshmen, tell them a little bit about high school life at Concordia. They practice their leadership skills. We do challenge courses, and the freshmen get to bond together. And it's just really cool. I go every year just to meet every student and learn all the freshmen's names since I'm not teaching anymore. And I can just see them growing from that one afternoon that we arrive all through that evening and then into the next day. And I think they grow and will admit it, and they get to make new friends. So don't worry if you are coming in and you do not know anyone at our school. You are going to meet people very soon. And if you're a freshman or a senior coming in, you'll definitely meet everybody. So that's in August. Good bonding, leadership time. Secondly, not long after school gets started, usually in August or first part of September, we have a fun family party out at Dr. Rader's house, and we call it Rader Crater, and it's got a bonfire on her property, and we have food, fun, and fellowship, and all the families are invited, and it's just a really fun time. And you can look forward to an invitation for that. And parents, your student may tell you that parents aren't allowed, but don't believe them, because you are definitely invited to come. So be looking for that, parents. Dr. Rader Grader. Thirdly, we get to go on an all-school field trip. And the teachers, they kind of started this, I think, 2 years ago. We've gone to Dallas. Last year we went to San Antonio. And it was so cool because those that wanted to stay late in San Antonio got to go to a San Antonio Spurs basketball game, and that was great. And we all sat together for that. And of course, we traveled in Roadrunner charter buses. This fall, we're going to take a day out of school and go to NASA. And these are always fun and educational field trips. I mean, yeah, we're missing one day of school, but it's educational. The teachers are there dividing up the kids into small groups, and they're actually studying things and researching things while they're there. They have a little assignment they're supposed to do. And fourth thing that I think makes it unique is on the semester that we don't go to our field trip, we shut down school one day and have a community service day. And all the parents are asked to volunteer as well. And we send out our students in small groups to area businesses and churches, and they volunteer their time and give back to the community. And while they're there, they share God's love with people. Because Jesus' light just shines through our students. They're there helping out, and it's a great community event, and our students learn how to give back to the community. So I think that those are my favorite things, and things that make, I think, Concordia stand out from a lot of other schools. And, you know, if you want to come talk to me about starting up some club, you new students, please remember I have an open door policy, And one year, like I said, we had a garden club because we had students that were interested in a garden club. Understand that this coming fall, we're probably going to start up an archery club because that's what I've already heard from a few of our incoming students. They're interested in an archery club. So we're going to make it happen if that's what you want to do and that's what you're interested in. And that's what my job is. So thank you very much for listening, and just email me or reach out to me if you have any questions.
Thank you, Coach. There's a lot. There's a lot there. There's a lot of things that we offer, a lot of activities to get involved in. And speaking of someone who's involved with a lot of different things herself and with her son for the last couple of years, Karen Sue Murdy. Mrs. Murdy, Mom Murdy, you're up.
Okay, so hopefully, if it's too noisy, I'll go inside. Otherwise, it's so nice being outside. Okay, so we got to Concordia probably in the most unusual way. So Sam is the youngest of my 4 boys, and we've pretty much done it all for school. We've done private education, public education, homeschool. And okay, who knows what happened August 25th, 2017? Somebody's going to have to unmute themselves and tell me. Any ideas? Any guesses? Happened in Texas, in Houston. Let's see. Trillions of what? Sam looked up the number for me the other day for a talk we did. Trillions and trillions of water. So no one's going to do it. Okay, it was Hurricane Harvey. So I have a lot of family in Texas. I've been trying to get to Texas forever. I have a lot of family in Texas. We lived in Wisconsin at the time. We'd lived there for 30 years. And my niece was in Houston. And so Sam and I were able to come down to do Hurricane Harvey cleanup. And on the way down, my brother lives in Pflugerville, so we stopped at Pflugerville to get some of our supplies and stuff. And I was invited to come to chapel, and Sam came with me, and then Sam ended up staying the day at Concordia High School, just observing. And at the end of the day, I came back to pick him up, and he's like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, I so wish I could go to this high school." Okay, remember we lived in Wisconsin 30 years? I'm like, well, I guess pray about it. I must admit, never in my wildest dreams did I imagine that we would actually be here. But I said to Sam, well, why? What was it about Concordia High School? And so he had 3 things. And one is he said, I love the relationships between the students. You can just tell there is a bond, and they're respectful, and the discussions in class were very interesting and in-depth. And then he said, I love it that God can be at the center of every subject. And finally, he said, I love the way the teachers taught and just their relationships with the students. Clearly, they really cared about the students. You could just tell it was so cool. Well, as it turned out, God did have a plan for our lives to be in Texas, and we are so happy to be here. And so, of course, he was a sophomore at that point. And I just have to say, I'm going to make it quick. My oldest son is 10 years older than Sam. And my other 3 boys had gone to public high school, and same high school, but the high school that my oldest son went to and the high school that Sam went to, it was such a different environment. And it just was amazing. And I had really been praying for, what are we doing? What are we going to do with Sam? And so we were able to come. We were thrilled. After we got here, there were a couple things. Sam obviously wanted a college prep high school. And we were just super excited about the academic rigor. And like Sam says, what he loves is that the teachers don't want to just teach. They really want the students to learn. And he says, I love watching these teachers. It's like they can figure out exactly what each student's learning style. One kid can ask a question, they'll answer it one way, and another kid will ask a question, they'll answer it another way. And they figure it out. And it's so fun to watch them do that, Mom. Another thing is as a parent, and once again, this is so different between my son that was 10 years older than Sam, and Sam's actually 18 today. So my 28-year-old, it's really before cell phones he had a cell phone, but it was a flip phone. It was to call home when he got done with a practice. Our kids are bombarded 24 hours a day with outside influences. And what I love at Concordia is they are in an environment where they are getting positive influences. And Sam will often say to me, I'm just so happy to have these cool friends who like actually care about doing well in academics, making good life choices, accountability people. And so when your kids are gone from you all day long at school, it is great to have an environment where you know that there are teachers and students who are kind of, you know, helping keep your kid on the straight and narrow. So one of the biggest things, I mean, you've heard a lot of talk about the relationship, but from my perspective, one of the biggest things that makes that happen is what we call our family groups. And I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about telling you this story. So my favorite Concordia High School memory is last year when I came to what we call sorting days. So every single person is put into a family group. In the fall, the new students are matched to their family. The families are made up of a couple sophomores, a couple freshmen, a couple juniors, a couple seniors. One of the things about the family groups, it really helps develop leadership. There's a lot of leadership within the group, and they kind of take care of each other. Another thing is it really does not allow anyone to slip between the cracks. They have that family group that every Friday they meet, they talk. I was eavesdropping on Sam, must have had a family group last week, and they were talking about what their highs and lows for the week were. I know at school, you know, sometimes the seniors will lead a Bible study. One time, just a lot of different things. So they meet once a week, and then also like after they sit together in chapel with their family group, and they watch out for each other's. You know, the seniors will check in on the freshmen, or if there's somebody new, to just make sure that they're doing okay. And Sam had a college visit one time, and it was a Friday, and so the kids had FaceTimed him from their family group so they could talk to him. But anyway, so in the fall, they get sorted into the groups. The seniors get to decide how that sorting takes place. And this year, the seniors planned this whole intricate, fun family feud. And then there was a hostage, and it was just super funny and fun. And the family feud was, as the family won that particular family feud game, their prize was the new students that were going to be in their family group, and they would shout out their name. The whole school erupted in cheering, and this student would come into their family group, and everybody would scream at the top of their lungs, "I am a child of God, a Cardinal forever, and a member of family Tide or PBC," or whatever the name of that family was. And it was the most incredible moment. And I said to my husband that night, I said, I wish that every single teenager got to experience something like that. And it's really hard to explain, but it is an amazing dynamic that really builds a strong connection among the kids. And, you know, there's a teacher, mentor, whatever, for each of those groups or whatever. But I think that is just a huge asset. Another thing, just lots of opportunities, obviously, for a lot of extracurricular activities. The kids will probably talk about that, so I'm not going to say anything more about that. I guess for us, Sam every single day came home from school and said, "I love being at Concordia High School." And of course, you know, we're transferring him as a junior in high school. We're not sure how this is going to go. And it just was so awesome, and the fun stories. And then it was funny. In January, I said, "Okay, well, it's not perfect, but I still absolutely love being here, and it's better than anything else I've ever done." And so that is such a joy. And even now, it's like with the Zoom classes, it's like, I just hear them in the other room laughing and hearing the teachers. And sometimes I have to sneak in because it's just such positive energy, you know, and it's like I love overhearing them. And I remember one teacher's like, "Oh, I'm just so happy to see my sweet smiling students today." So it's just a really, it's an environment that we want for our kids. And that is an awesome thing. So I think that's what I have to say. I don't want to go over my time. Does anybody, I guess we'll do questions later or whatever. Yeah. Okay.
Great job. Thank you so much. Yeah, Sam, could you imagine doing this at your public school?
Oh, definitely not. Definitely not. I'll talk a little bit more about that when it comes to me, but definitely not.
Okay. So we're gonna turn it over to the students of Concordia High School at this point. Jordan, we're going to go with you first, and then I believe Sam and then Maddie. I would encourage you. I mean, I don't want to put Jordan on the spot. I don't know if Jordan's ever monologued before on a Zoom. I mean, that's a lot of pressure. No pressure, Jordan. So if any of the students want to just jump in and add, please feel free. But Jordan, you're up, girl. Here we go.
All right, thank you, Mr. D. So one of the things that everybody's really been talking about on here is the relationships with other parents, with teachers, with students. Just that's kind of what the school is all about. It's just the relationships. Like Sam, I also came from a public school, but I came from a middle school, so I was here freshman through my junior year. And I remember being so down in middle school. I was like, I don't like this at all, but I didn't want to go to Concordia because I've never been to a private school before. And that's where my brother went. So I shadowed and I absolutely loved it. Like the first day, people in Sam and Maddie's class, so the seniors now, so they were freshmen when I was shadowing. They just came up to me and they were like, how's your day going? Like, what's your favorite class so far? And I was like, I don't even know. I love it all. So I got here and there, of course you're gonna have problems anywhere you go. Like you'll just see that everywhere. But I've never seen a place like this where people are just like, hey, how's your day going? You know, like, oh, I'm sorry that happened. I'll definitely pray for you and I love you. Just know that. That one really got me was when people were like, I love you, because usually you think of that as like you tell your parents you love them, or like farther down the road when you're in a relationship you tell them you love them. But I've never been told that by just like friends or people that I wouldn't even necessarily consider friends. It's just evident how much people love you. And so I'm also one of the leaders of Girls Bible Study this year. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that. So right now we've been doing Zoom on Wednesdays and Fridays. We've been going through Romans right now, but we pick a theme at the very beginning of the semester, and then we'll go through it. Me and Charlotte are the leaders right now, Charlotte from Zion. And so we'll meet and we'll take notes and stuff, and we'll tell everybody our thoughts about it. What do they think? How does this line up with other verses in the Bible and stuff like that? We just really go deep into it, which is another great thing that Concordia does. You don't have to be in Girls Bible Study or Brothers Under Christ to see the Christian aspect of the school. Teachers will just go off on a little tangent for a tiny bit, and they'll just tell them like, I read this passage earlier today and it talks about this and I really wanted to share it with y'all. Or they'll they teach us anything and everything at the same time. That's another thing that I really like, is that I've learned so much from things that aren't even in our curriculum. So I really wanted to bring that up because it's really close to me. All right, so right now as a junior, I'm going through some testing, stuff like that. Well, I should be, but I can't right now. So I've been doing practice, and Miss Rep is doing a fantastic job letting us know, like, we should still be looking at some stuff right now. We can still be studying for SAT, ACT, and to contact her and look at the colleges we want to go to, make sure that they still want us to do those so we don't have unnecessary time spent towards that. And yeah, so right now I have an essay that's due Friday, one of the prompts for the Texas school system. So we're starting that right now in English. Like, that's not usually an option for people, is that you get to write something for English class, have your teacher look at it and help you with it. You know, it's for college, but it's a great opportunity, and I really enjoy that. And I thought that was really interesting. So I'll let that go to another student now.
Great job, Jordan. That's awesome. You did a wonderful job. Sam, go ahead.
Awesome. All right. So I have just a few thoughts that I want to kind of rapid fire through quickly. But as my mother said, our kind of history and background was we lived in Wisconsin, and the only high school in the area was a public high school, which is where my brothers had all gone. And as she said, the school had just changed over time, and that's kind of an across the board. Society has changed, really from mentoring to kind of losing the family unit. And so for me, I was there for a year, and then we were able to do a really awesome homeschool curriculum that I loved. But so with that in mind, one of the main things that I've just loved about Concordia is when you think of your best teacher that you've ever had. When I walked into Concordia, I had my first class and I was like, wow, this is even better than the best teacher I've ever had. And then I went to my next class and I was like, wait, was this teacher better than the best teacher? So, and then I went to my next class and my next class and my next class, and 8 periods. I was like, that's the best teacher I've ever had for all 8 of my teachers. And as I've cycled through the teachers, I've found more and more that that's not an anomaly. That's not 1 or 2 phenomenal teachers. That is the staff of Concordia. And that's something that I have found to be just very, very powerful and very important. So as Mrs. Rader was talking about, Dr. Rader and Mrs. Rep were talking about with the curriculum, with it being a smaller school, the teachers are able to cater to every class. And it's not just the seniors, it's Sam, it's Maddie, it's Jordan. They're able to cater to one student with our interests. And that's something that's also very, very important. Another thing that I want to talk about with college prep. So college prep can sound really scary. What does that mean? Is it like harder? Is it way harder? College prep means that they're going to make sure that if your interest is in college, they're going to get you there. And part of the way they do that is by emphasizing the importance of raised education, placing an emphasis on doing really good studies and working really hard on your studies. And that's something that is hard to find these days. And as it relates to upperclassmen, that involves testing. And one of the things that I was able to participate in was Mrs. Reps, when she brought people on to do testing for practicing. As she said, we have partnerships with people like College Board and stuff like that. And it brought my ACT score from when I started it from a 28 to when I finished a 32. And that was just merely by having the opportunities brought on and saying, hey, can we help study you? Can we help you get through this? So as I'm rapid firing through, as someone who's been in public school and homeschooling, nowadays it's easy to get lost. It's easy to get off track. You can go in with the best of intentions, but it's easy to get off track. And as a student, I would look back and thank my parents over and over and over again for putting me in a place like Concordia, because of the people that are mentoring with me. And I know Dr. Rader touched on really quick, the people that you face every day, that your students are going to face, are going to be what shapes your students. So for me, I go to school at 7:30 in the morning, and I come home and on sports nights, anywhere between 6:30 and 11. And the rest of the time I'm sleeping. So while my parents and I may have a great interaction, great relationship, they can mentor me, they can do all of that, they're not who's raising me effectively at that part of my life. The people that are in front of me are helping me make the decisions that I'm making as an adult. And in high school, that is incredibly important because this is the time that we as students are beginning to make decisions for ourselves. So we've been taught what we as a family believe, but as a high schooler, this is when your student is going to start beginning to think, well, why do we believe that? And when you have people that are good influences in front of them, those people are the ones that are able to say, here's why we make those decisions. And one of the other things is accountability. I walked in, and in our small class, all of the guys are like my best friend, and almost all of the girls are very close friends of mine. We as a class are so tightly knit because they're good kids. They're kids that you want to come home and be like, introduced to your parents. And you as parents want your kids to come home and say, oh, my kid's hanging out with good kids. This is kind of cool. And they're not weird kids. We know how to have a fun time. The senior boys, we took a trip down to Port Aransas and rented a house with Calvin's dad came as a parent chaperone. And we had like the greatest time of our lives. But we weren't influenced by things that we may have been if there were people who weren't great influences there, because all like 10 of us that went, we wanted to have our eyes on God. We want to be on the right path of where we're going and what we want to do. So that's important. One of the other things I found is the teachers, how they interact with the students. And as my mom touched on really quick, the way the teachers interact with the students is really important. So one of the things I noticed at public schools was that the kids didn't want to be there. The kids would try to get the teachers off track. They would be on their phones, and so much of the class time would be wasted. And at Concordia, that's not the way it is. The kids want to be there. They want to learn. And the teachers just fuel that, and they add to that fire. And that's one of the things that I've loved is I'm going to be pursuing a career in engineering and medicine, and then hopefully one day being a surgeon, going on to medical school. And as someone who is enormously passionate about the human body and learning, in my anatomy course, my instructor, who also happens to be Dr. Rader, has been able to push us and push us and push us, and not just give us like soft little easy homework assignments that are online that we can look up. This is stuff that we are learning in depth that we will remember for a long time. I have note cards that I will take with me to medical school, and I will have a basis of knowledge that will help me in my medical school. And that's something that I like I said, your students will come back in 20 years and they will say, I cannot thank you enough for putting me in Concordia. So that's the thing, is students want to be there. I know I'm a little over time, but it's hard not to get passionate when you're at Concordia. And that's one of the other things I found, is that whether it be with sports, I had the opportunity to be involved in so many things. Just in my first year at Concordia, first time ever being there, not really knowing anyone, my first year I was able to do soccer, be a part of the soccer team in the fall season, and we went to state, and we're state runners up, and there was a great team bonding with that. And then in the winter season, I was able to be a part of the basketball team as well as the swim team. And the swim team, we also went to state and placed in state. And there's great team bonding with those two teams in that one season. And then in the spring season, I was able to do state track and field, which we went to district and division and state, and also the golf team, which we also went to the district tournament. And those are 5 sports that I was able to be an opportunity of, several of which we went to state, and I got placed at state, which opportunities after being at a public school, I would not have had that opportunity. And that was only athletics. I was able to do Science Olympiad and the musical and one-act play and so many different things, while being able to maintain straight A's and keep good grades, because the teachers and the coaches want to place an emphasis on academics. At the center of all of it, God has to be the center, and that's something that the teachers focus on really well. Really quick before I get to, before we go on to Maddie, I want to talk about college prep, and that is something that is very, very important for your student, and you as students will find to be very important as well. I personally have applied to 7 schools, and I was accepted by all of them before the end of November. And that's something that my brothers, who were also very smart people, did not have. So I was able to tour the schools sooner. I was able to tour their programs sooner. And I was able to receive scholarships from all of them as well, which is part of the buy-in to Concordia. Yes, there's tuition. At the same time, college tuition will go down because you will have those scholarships. And several of the students who have been at universities, very competitive universities, have come back and said to me, as well as the staff, college is easy. Where most students say, I just barely slid through college, or man, I wasn't prepared for it, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. I've had friends of mine who are at universities now who have come from Concordia, and they've said, it's not hard because I know how to do it, because the teachers have equipped me with the tools I need to do that. So I know I went a little over time, so we can move on to Maddie, but those are just a few of the reasons why I have just absolutely loved Concordia, and I think you will too.
You hear the passion from Sam. There's a lot of passion. He believes strongly in the school. It's those relationships. It's all those pieces. I'm not going to repeat everything he said because there's a lot there. Maddie, you are the last but not least. Go ahead.
Yeah, so I will always say that my favorite thing about CHS is the relationships that we're able to have with the teachers. They genuinely care about each student. They notice when a student is having a bad day, and they will reach out to help in any way possible. The way that we're able to have conversations with teachers about life and about faith is something so special, and is something that I will always cherish. I have learned so many things from the stories our teachers have shared, and I've had so many questions about faith answered. I've had many conversations about life and about the future with them. Our teachers set an amazing example as they share their faith with us daily through words and through actions. And all of these things have had a huge impact on my life. On campus, the teachers are so willing to encourage, to offer advice, and to answer any questions that we have. And that kind of support, I believe, is so unique. Even if they are extremely busy, they will stop what they're doing to talk to you or to answer your questions. And while that support may look a little different now because of remote learning, it's definitely no less prevalent. The teachers are still quick to encourage and still willing to give advice and still ready to answer any and all of our questions. When we were on campus, it was so easy to just walk into a teacher's classroom during lunch, during their off periods, or during camp time to get help on any material. But while we can't just walk into a classroom right now, it's still just as easy to get that help. We can email our teachers and they respond very quickly, or we can log into their Zoom during camp time and on Wednesdays and get help there as well. Getting the help that we need during remote learning is still just as easy as when we were on campus. Our teachers are still just as accessible and still willing to help as before. And as a student, it's been a very helpful thing through all of this. And just like Sam said, I will always be so extremely grateful that my parents sent me to CHS, and will always be thankful for the school and for the impact it's had on my life.
Well said, Maddie. Thank you. Thank you so much. You hear a lot of times, I mean, everybody says the same thing. We didn't pay them to say this, but the term relationship comes up a lot. And I've said this to classes and staff and teachers and anybody I can talk to. Those relationships that we've built up for a whole year are paying off huge dividends right now in this time. As schools try to figure out what's happening in this world and what to do and how to tackle a problem, we had I should say, an easier time pivoting to online learning. And the teachers themselves are the ones that really wanted to stay focused and continue to deliver quality education. But that requires a lot of trust, and fortunately, the trust is there. Teachers know students by name, like Sam was saying. These students do not feel like they are just a number or anything. They know that the teachers are going to be there to care for them, and it becomes less of a punitive piece and more of a learning, educational, holistic, even spiritual journey that we're taking here. And the teachers have just been the rock stars. But I do want to give a shout out to the seniors. I know Mrs. Rupp said this before, but the senior class, with when you think about the world that we live in right now, and senior classes that are missing out on so many things, it would be easy to think about how bitter it's. I mean, seniors could be very bitter right now and missing out. And instead, what we've experienced with the senior class is just this shift of being grateful and having an opportunity to continue online education and still trying to have some sort of semblance of normality. Certainly there's those levels of grief that you still go through, but our senior class has been just fantastic in their encouragement to each other and to the teachers and to the staff, myself included. They've just been encouraging to say, continue to go, continue to move. And if some of you are teachers in this room, or if you're even one of the students, you'll know that this is a different world. And it's taken a lot to shift it, our learning styles and things. So just that encouragement and those relationships have helped continue to guide us, and it's just been excellent. I will stop talking. Is there any questions that anybody has, thoughts pertaining to what anybody even brought up? It's the sound of silence. That's okay. That's okay. Certainly, this is brand new for us. Again, we've never done this before. We would encourage you to continue to communicate with us if you have any questions or just this whole style that we just did it. But outside of all gathering together, which is not an appropriate thing right now, I think this is really good. This has been very positive. It's just good to see everybody's faces and feel. Karen C was talking about things that happened first semester, and that feels like it was 3 years ago. It's just amazing how things have changed. But we are excited about next year in everything that it looks like for us. I mean, there's a lot we still don't know. I don't necessarily need to go into that right now, but one thing we do know is that we've shifted the NASA trip that we typically take, and we're gonna move that to next year. So we're excited about doing a NASA trip to Houston. But again, Sam, do you have a question? You raise your hand.
Yeah, I would add on really quick. If any students that are either watching this now or going to be watching this in the future, if you have questions, be it for the teachers or for the administrators or for students like us, yeah, you can ask really quick. Feel free to reach out. You can reach any of them or us. If you email the email that should be attached to this email, you can say, hey, I'd like to talk to a student. And while us seniors may not necessarily be here as part of your community next year, we're able to give insight in what our experience has been. So if you guys have questions, feel free to ask it. Don't feel skittish at all. We are more than happy to answer anything that you have.
Thank you, Michelle. So unless anybody else has anything to say.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
Do you have an admissions director, or who do we talk to for more information about like admissions and tuition and that kind of thing?
I'd love to talk more to you. I'm going to put my information that you can email me I'm going to do this in the chat section, so I don't have to spell this out for you. But I am the principal, also responsible for admissions. So if you see in the chat section there, it's mike.deering@chsaustin.org.
So I just have to say too, there's always somebody at any place that kind of knows everything. And Tracy Doobie, who says Brandon Fry up there in the corner, she pretty much knows the answer to almost anything or everything. So if she doesn't know it, she'll go, here's the person you need to talk to. So she's a great resource person too.
So we are going to, let's just pray out. I wanted to try to keep it within an hour. I think this is a good amount of time. Certainly, as you have more questions, feel free to reach out to us. But let me pray out real fast, and then we'll say goodbye to each other. Heavenly Father, thank you again for this time and for technology. We do pray for all the first responders and people that are fighting COVID-19, people who are studying it and trying to tackle this issue. I pray for our leaders of the country and our state, our localities. Pray for all schools and students as they enter into May. I pray a special blessing for the seniors right now as they continue to look ahead, and let them not be saddened, fearful, all the anxiety that might come from this time. Let them focus on your gifts that you've given them, their time and their calling as students in 2020, and let them be joyful of a time where they can serve and where they can support one another. Again, thank you for this moment, this Zoom meeting, this open house. I appreciate everybody here, and just pray a special blessing for Concordia High School as we go forward. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, everybody. thus concludes the meeting.